30, I'll call the City Council Committee meeting to order, and I will turn it over the first item to Lon Reisman, Parks and Leisure Services Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to have Darren Trussell come up, please. Darren, you want
Yeah, I can start. So what you have before you is this was approved last year when we were doing our budget. So this is the waterproofing of the rec hall. So we found a company called the Garland Company that we've been working with, and they came in and did an evaluation of the rec hall. We've been up on the roof, we've been up in lifts and looked at walls, all that kind of stuff. So the Garland Company specializes in waterproofing buildings. They do everything from the roofing material to different spray applications that'll seal the building. So what we're looking at is, I believe the name of it is, what's the name of it on there, Lon?
Garland, Pawtucket?
Sealapore.
Silapore.
Silapore.
So Silapore is a sprayed application that they'll spray on the exterior of the building. And that the goal is that it gets in there and it seals up the building for about 10 years is what the lifetime expectancy is of that product. They had it looked at before I ever came here, and I believe the price back then when they got a bid on it was about $50,000. So we've worked with the Garland Company to have several different people come in and look at putting this on the building. We got the price down to about $38,000. So we felt pretty good about that, and we feel pretty good about their product. So what you have before you is just approving that to be done for the rec hall.
What was the budget amount?
$50,000.
Came in at 38, David.
Good job, Darren. Is
Small
there any
increase.
sort of guarantee they have with it?
I believe there's a multi-year guarantee on the product. What they want to do is they're going to come in and power wash the building, and that'll help them find some areas where they might have some leaks. I think Jason said power washing the building may be what started some of these problems back in the day. But they'll see where some leaks are, and so they'll try to make sure they seal those parts, and then we'll start investigating other parts of the building that may be having some waterproofing issues. But this should help us narrow down and really seal up the building envelope.
Perfect.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. And we make a motion that we recommend entering into an agreement with Pawtucket Roofing / LED Tubing Company for waterproofing the stone exterior walls using Sealapore, a specialized waterproofing solution from the Garland Company. We'd like to bring this forward to a vote, to bring it to full council.
You have a motion, second?
All in favor?
Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Baskin?
Yes, sir. I would like Steve to come on up and give
He's
us.
always in the middle of everything.
I know. I put a time clock on him today.
Okay, good.
We're gonna get a little update on the comprehensive plan that we've been working on.
We'll go just a little bit over that time limit, I'm sure.
I figured as much.
So thank you for letting us come here tonight to just kind of share with you where we are on this Comprehensive Plan 2050. Last week on the 13th, we had our 4th advisory panel meeting. Mr. King came to that meeting and clarified some of the things that we've been working on with Lionheart, and shared some things about the future thoroughfare plan that they are currently working on. Got some input from the advisory panel, and what we're wanting to accomplish tonight is to just let you know what we are looking at as we try to close out this project. You might recall we started in June of 2023. We've had 2 public meetings with community open houses. I actually think there were 3, but we're saying 2 on this PowerPoint that we've included in your packet tonight. I believe there were actually 3, and we've had 4 of the advisory panel meetings. We've solicited, or Lionheart has solicited input from not only the 25 panel members, but from the community as a whole. The initial input and turnout for these meetings has been very, very impressive. And as we get deeper into the project, we're starting to get a lot of that input brought back into the plan. This is a very rough draft plan that we're currently seeing, along with the future land use map that's included in your packet, and the PowerPoint that was shared with the advisory panel last week on the 13th. So what's ahead is we are targeting March 6th for another open house meeting, and at that open house meeting, we'll continue, or Lionheart will continue to get some input on some of the exercises that have taken place through the previous meetings. From that, they will begin to finalize the comprehensive plan and get that to staff for review. We can then come back possibly for another update with the committee if that is your pleasure. If not, we would transition into the actual public hearings and consideration of adoption. We're going to probably be a little bit beyond the initial schedule of what we were targeting to wrap up by May of 2024. We did have a couple of delays that we did not anticipate with this last advisory panel meeting, getting prepared for that advisory panel meeting. So we may very well bump into June of 2024 to wrap this project up. It's at budget so far, and I don't anticipate that being an issue, but we are going to possibly extend it by a month or so as we try to bring it to finalization. So the PowerPoint in your packet was simply used to share with you what the panel saw last week. And if you have any questions related to that, I'll do my best to answer those. Otherwise, I'm open to questions. Thank you.
Any questions for Steve?
You're not gonna let him do all 68 pages, I think.
Well,
We'll
say that for all
68 pages yet. Can somebody hit at the bullet points on the 68 pages?
The cliff notes on that.
I'll reclaim the chair.
I was looking right at you.
Exactly.
So Steve, I know we talked at that meeting the other day, there was discussion about specifically the drawing that you've included here tonight. Has that information that came from that been transmitted to Lionheart?
Did have a follow-up conversation with them the very next day. Mentioned to them on our next follow-up call, I would get into more detail on some of those comments that were shared. I think part of what you're referring to is there were some concerns about the shading and some projects that we know are already in the pipeline.
Yeah.
And then possibly changing that ag use inside the city limit line to
Right.
some other type of designation other than agricultural. So those should be simple fixes, and I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. Have kind of dropped the bug in there already, but yes, sir, we have approached that, just haven't finalized it yet.
And then once the draft, a more finalized version of the draft is ready, what's the process to go through, like P&Z? P&Z will have how much time to analyze the information and be, so that they're familiar with it before they make their recommendation?
So our strategy's been to invite the P&Z to all of the open house meetings and have input there. We can certainly share the final draft with them. I think that only makes sense. So when we get that, we can try to have that on the next agenda for a P&Z workshop. And then, again, we'll have some time at staff level to review that final draft, work with Lionheart, get that final draft in front of this body and any other body that you think should be necessary in seeing that. And then hopefully, again, meet that target completion date of not May, but hopefully June. P&Z certainly would appreciate some time to at least
Absolutely, there's
see
a lot of
that.
information.
Yes, sir.
We don't want to spring it on them at the last minute and ask for them
Absolutely.
to make a recommendation. So, all right, good, thank you. Thanks, David.
Thank you. Any other questions for Steve?
Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Mr. Mayor, that concludes the Development Services Committee meeting.
Ms. Smith, nomination.
Since I can't pass mine off to anybody else. The only current board that we have openings on is Parks and Leisure, and we finally have applicants to review to appoint to the 3 remaining positions that we have on Parks and Leisure. The first applicant is Faye Hodges. She's got 2 kids that are very active in the SPARD program, and I think she'd be a great asset to the Parks and Leisure Board. The other applicant I have is Kendall Hurley. Also has 2 kids very active in the SPARD activities and also would be a great asset to the Parks and Leisure Board. The other 2 applicants I have are Drew Roberson and Cheryl Wiley. Does anybody have any questions or about the 4 applicants? No? Well, my recommendation is that we appoint Faye Hodges, Kendall Hurley, and Drew Oberson to the Parks and Leisure Board. So I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Faye Hodges, Kendall Hurley, and Drew Oberson to the Parks and Leisure Board.
Second.
Motion and a second, so I would like to move that forward to council with full recommendation to appoint those 3 citizens. What? Oh, I gotta vote, don't we? All in
You got-
favor,
you
say
gotta
aye.
say Aye.
No opposed, so I'll make that motion that we move forward. Positive recommendation.
Is that everything?
That's it.
Okay, we had a short agenda tonight, but in compliance with the provisions of the Texas Open Meetings Law, Subchapter D, Government Code, Vernon's Texas Codes annotated in accordance with Section 551.074 Personnel Matters to deliberate appointment, employment, evaluation, and reassignment duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee to wit the fire chief. We will go into executive session and be back soon afterwards, I hear. There was nothing that went on in executive session that needs to be reported or voted on tonight, so at 5:50 and 25 seconds, we're standing adjourned.
Getting technical.